Hello friends, today we are going to discuss about view in mental health. My name is Dr. Vijay Bhatia. I work in mental health. What is view? This involves perception of the self and outside world, including people, events, and other things. And this view should be accurate perception of the self and outside, and there shouldn't be any distortion or deception. We will discuss this in more detail. What I mean is it should be real truth rather than imagination or fantasy, or sometimes even people can be in their imaginations and that affect their thinking and behavior. What is a true perception? I would just take one example that with the vision. When I experience something, that I see something, and if I say that is my true perception, that means my experience is concrete, tangible, objective, and real. Concrete means it is solid, it is present there, everyone else can see. Tangible, I can actually feel with different senses, touch it. Objective, it is outside me, it is not inside me, and it is real. I can feel the texture. I can tell from my memories. I can tell that it is the true version what it should be. But on the other hand, if you're seeing something and you are seeing with your inner eye, there's nothing outside. You are just the images in your mind, like you're sleeping and having dream. Then that is not a true perception. That can be a pseudo-perception or pseudo-hallucination. And similarly, some people are awake, but they can image things. They can have imagery. They can fantasize things within their mind, or even they imagine outside, but they are not concrete. It is their imagination, like somebody is looking at the clouds and trying to make the face out of the cloud. That is their fantasy. They are trying to make something out there. So that is not real. The cloud may present or look like as if it is a face of a person, of somebody, but it's not a face. It's just that things have been together and they look like that, but it is not real. So that is the difference between fantasy, pseudo perception, and true perception. Again, as we already mentioned, the location is outside me, outside the person. It is in the objective space, not inside me. Whereas fantasy, I can imagine it within my mind that the cloud is there, and within that cloud there's a face, or there's my somebody relative sitting there, or imagine it's a horse or something. So it is inside. By definition, it should be very clear. That means it has clear outlines. I can distinct from surrounding things. If it is a sound, it is a complete sound. It is not just tapping or crying or water running. It is a complete sound. And when we say complete sound, that means you can see the difference in tone, variation. If it is coming towards you, it is going away. It is a complete sound. Whereas in fantasy, the boundaries are blurred. The outline is not definite. They are incomplete in some way, and they are lacking some individual details. And if it is a true perception, it should be full, it should be fresh and bright. And that if any of these things are lacking, that means it may not be the true perception, and you are seeing is not true. constancy, it is retained, it will be always there. Even if I am not there, or if I close my eyes, somebody next to me or standing in the same field, they can touch it, feel it, and make the sense of it, out of it. Whereas in fantasy, it is only within me, and I can evade it, I can get away from it, or I can recall again. But that doesn't happen in true perception. It is always there. And it is independence from my own volition. I cannot recall at my own will. Let's say I'm looking at a horse, and that horse is real in front of me. It is not that I'm imagining that I can recall in my imagination the horse to be there. It doesn't work like that. So it is independent from your volition, cannot be dismissed, recalled, or changed at will. Whereas if you are fantasy, that can be, that just requires your voluntary creation inside. That means it feels like it has the quality of the perception. No distinction made between perception. And I don't even think at any moment that could it be imaginary. No, I know this is real. I have the full insight. Whereas in fantasy, it has that quality that it is just an idea. Behavior relevance. It is relevant to emotions, needs, and actions. When I see something, when I feel something, I have some kind of attachment or some kind of feelings attached to that. But in fantasy, there is nothing like that. And sensory modality, it can be experienced with number of other modalities. Like if I see something, it is there. I can touch it, I can feel it, I can see the texture, I can hear it sound. So it has to be available to the other modalities of the senses, not only to the eyes or one sense. But in fantasy, it all depends on your observer, whether he wants to exist or not. Known to be dependent on my abnormal state. When I say about that, it is independent of that. If I am not there, the thing is still there. Whereas fantasy is dependent on my state, what I want, what I don't want. Now, remember, human being is a learning machine. What I mean by that is that we keep on observing, keep on sensing things, keep on looking at the world and ourselves. And within our own self, like my own feelings, my muscles getting tense, my heart racing, I'm feeling hungry, all these things are being analyzed by the brain, and it is learning, experience, observations, and I can learn from the media, from what I have learned from the schools. They have taught me certain physics, chemistry, or certain moral principles, and parents have told me to do this or not to do this or dress like this. So all these things have been learned about myself, about others, about the world, and we have kept them in our memory somewhere. And from these memories, I know the moment it is triggered again, that somebody I see or hear, I know from my memories, and I will develop some beliefs about it. Or this is just a safe thing, or it is scary thing, or schemas. That means set of beliefs that will develop over a period of time. Let's say if I see a cat, I know it is a fluffy animal, small animal, but sometimes it can hurt you. So there are all the beliefs about that one thing attached to it, and we believe them quite strongly. And these things, sometimes there is some change, but we believe in them very, very strongly. Like all cats are not similar, but we know what they are. So when we talk about the view of the self, it should be the true view of the self. As we mentioned above, what is true, it has got difficult, um, very clear characteristics, and that should be there. It shouldn't be imaginary. So number one, who are you? Your identity. That you are a male, you are a female, you are a boy, you are young, you are old, and it should be very clear. There should not be any conflict. I have seen patients, a man dressed in as a woman clothes. They are not sure about their identity, about their health. They physically and mentally they are healthy. They know they are healthy, or they know that they are anemic. They feel weak and tired, and so from your physique, you know who you are. Your parents might have told you who you are. You are a male. You are a boy. You are a fighter. You are a and culture that you are an army person, or you are a policeman. You are a carpenter. So all these things that you know, that it is quite clear with you, and sometimes even simple things, that you are a good person, you are a bad person, or your face is not very good. So, and all these things define who you are, and you are aware of yourself, what you need, like food, shelter, safety, security. You need to socialize, and you need to achieve all your potentials to the best. That is self-actualization. And you know how to treat yourself and to others, that you will dress, you will wash your hair, face, and body. You will appropriate according to the culture. You are smart enough, you are healthy. But in mental health, what happens? There is called a mental state examination. When I see a person, that person is not dressed, that person is not looking after themselves, they are not behaving in a way that they are energetic, or they just look tired. That means something is wrong with their true self. They are not, maybe at this moment of time or this period of time, they are looking like that, maybe because they are depressed. But it tells me what is their view of their self, and how they get on with the work colleagues, with the education society, and are they caring people, or do they know their own rights, or do they themselves believe that they are vulnerable and they can be abused by others. All this, by all the life you have lived from childhood to the adult life and later on, you keep on assessing these and trying to make the view of the self, and you try to make the true view of the self. And it all depends on how you view the world. Now, we mentioned about truth and what is valid. Now, it is again a difficult concept, but let's try to say what it looks like at the face. We call face validity. It is very subjective. Just by looking at it, I know this person is not good. This person is not very friendly. Content validity, when I actually look at their behavior and others tell me, oh, this person is not very good, so I tend to judge them. And criteria validity, what is independent corroboration? So I am trying to measure with a gold standard. Let's say I am trying to see that that person looks like my father, but is it behaving like him or not? Or is it behaving totally opposite? Can I predict his behavior? Will he be nice to me, or will he be horrible to me? Those kind of things. Construct validity, measuring underlying concept it purports to measure. Now, everything, whatever it tries to tell or tries to say, it should be that. There should be no other thing. It should be reality, nothing else. And is it constructed that way? What is the precision? Can I detect the small changes? If that person behaves slightly differently, could that be my father again or not? Response, and how do I change with the small changes? View of others. Again, this is perception of the others. How do I see them? Can I trust them? Do I feel safe with others? Or do they care about me? Do they care about the world? Are they looking suspicious so that I cannot trust them? Or will they abuse me? Or have this person or similar person abused me in the past? Therefore, I'm developing a whole schema in my memories, in my brain, that can be triggered again in the future, even when there is no stimulus. Similar things about the view of the world. Is the world a safe place? Can I go and play outside, or will I be hit by a car? What about disasters? What about the wars, storms? The wind is blowing, the rain is coming, the volcanoes are there, earthquakes, the houses are being broken down. So over a period of time, this should be informed to the person that this is a nice area. I remember people living near the storm, and there was an earthquake, and a lot of um, um, mud or from the landslide went into the lake, and when it went into the lake, it triggered the process of generating carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide that killed a lot of people who were living near the lake. What about the air around you? Is it safe to breathe, or is it polluted? Especially at times of festivals when there is a lot of fireworks and vehicles causing pollution, so much lead in the air, so much carbon monoxide in the air, and other pollutions, even like sound pollution, factories near you, or electric wires, grids, or running over you, making noises or making magnetic fields around you. Are the roads safe, or there's a high chance of being killed? What about the food safety? These days, foods are coming as ready meals with lots of ingredients which are not required by the body but are simply used to preserve or extend the life of the food. They can be dangerous to your human cells, or they are not good for you. Are you feel safe from them? What about places of enjoyment? We want to enjoy our life and play some activities. However, the environment can be encouraging you to gamble, go to the pubs and keep on drinking alcohol, or going to the nightclubs and not sleep well and be in problems. We all have resistance to stress to a limit that can be broken down. And remember, when these schemas we developed over the years that this is safe or not safe, there can be certain things which we know is not safe, but sometimes in our memories, even when we are fully awake, those can be triggered either by stimuli or just about thinking about them, and they will make you feel uncomfortable and going to affect your emotions and will affect your behavior. But as a human being, we have this inner build that there should be enough resistance to stress, but this has limitation. It doesn't keep going forever. And as human beings, we should be adapting. This is the environmental adaptability is one of the characteristic features of actually all living organisms, that we should adapt to the changing environment. If there is going to be a bad period, we should be able to look after ourselves and adapt ourselves accordingly. What happens in mental health? If there's mental disorder, there is distortion or deception, either about self, about others, about the world. This typically happens in depression, but individual ones like distortion of the self, distortion of others, can happen in a lot of other mental disorders, especially in schizophrenia, where there's distortion about others, that you do not trust anybody. You look everyone with suspicious eyes, and the world is not a good place. There are a number of other mental illnesses that can be described only about the view of the self, others, and the world in mental disorders. Thank you for watching. Press the like button and subscribe the channel. Watch other videos in this channel, especially for this video. There is another video I have made for perception only. Thanks.